I would start off by saying that the only winner out of this conflict has been Vladimir Putin. It has taken the limelight off him completely while he has been in China meeting with Xi and other people. And it has also taken the focus off the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Look, I believe through all my research and all my sources, I believe that Russia's fingerprints are all over this attack, and in particular, the fingerprints of the GRU. That's the Russia's military intelligence. It was interesting that President Volodymyr Zelensky came out, I think it was on the 10th of October, and said that he was very, very clear that there had been Russian involvement in this, and that had extended back a long, long time. We simply don't believe that Hamas has the capacity to launch an attack like this on their own. We know that Hamas is backed by Iran, and we know that there is what I will call a toxic codependent relationship between Iran and Russia. And we know that Iran, for example, has been providing Russia with drones, which Russia has used to continually strike civilian soft targets across Ukraine for over a year now. So the links between Iran and Russia are clear. It's clear to me, it's clear to everything I know, that Russia would be behind this. So I think there's a question as to why this is not being discussed more. But no, their fingerprints are all over it, and the only one on the world stage who's benefiting at the moment from this horrible situation is Vladimir Putin, because it's further weakening the Western rules-based order, which he hates, and which, along with his allies, they are sworn to destroy and replace. At the moment, Russia has four main allies, which I would regard as being effectively in Russia's pocket. That is Iran, it is North Korea, it is Belarus, and it is Syria. And of course, we're all very, very aware of the role that Putin has and Russia have played in upholding and saving the regime of Bashar al-Assad, and how many Syrians have died, and Russian bombing of Syrian hospitals and so forth. So it is it is effectively part of an axis of evil. We do not believe that Hamas acting alone would have the capacity to carry out a multi-dimensional attack, which the atrocity on the 7th of October was. It was by air, it was by land, it was by cyber attacks. It was, it was covering all the bases, and at the same time, it was backed up by, and it's still being backed up by, a huge disinformation campaign. As I said, I have spoken to people on the intelligence side in Britain who have made it very, very clear to me that the fingerprints of the GRU, Russia's military intelligence, are all over this. And I think what we've got to bear in mind is, as I've already said, the only one that benefits from this horrible situation is Vladimir Putin. It takes the attention off him, and it takes the attention away from what's going on in Ukraine at the moment. But secondly, something we've got to remember is Russia and her allies, but Russia in particular is opposed to what we call our rules-based international order. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, the rules-based international order came out of the ashes of the Second World War in 1945. And it may be imperfect, and our leaders in the West and the main leader, which is the United States, may have made many mistakes over the years, and that is undoubtedly true. But I would suggest that the option to this is far less palatable. And if I may, I like to go back to the Munich Security Conference of 2017, when Sergei Lavrov, then and still Russia's foreign minister, gave a speech in which he virtually rejoiced he rejoiced in the breakup of what he saw the Western order, or rules-based order, and he hailed the rise of what he called a post-West era. Now, that post-West era, as I said, you have Russia currently doing all the dirty work, with Iran, North Korea, Belarus, and Syria virtually in Russia's pocket at the moment. You have the very, very, you have the very influential group of BRICS. That is the group of 5 countries: Brazil, India, China, Russia, and South Africa, who between them have 40% of the world's population, 25% of the world's economic output. And we saw in the recent BRICS summit that they were making significant steps to extending that, to inviting other countries in. So the big worry here, of course, is China. And we know that Vladimir Putin was in China only very, very recently, speaking to the head of China. Now, we know that Russia and China have what they call a no limits friendship. And China is clearly not acting on that no limits friendship yet, because if it was, they would be arming Russia to the teeth, which Russia very much wants. But China are not doing that. I would suggest at a point that China does get involved, that we are all in serious trouble. So, this really brings the focus of what's happening in Gaza back to Russia and back to what's happening in Ukraine, which Gaza has very much taken off the news agenda at the moment. Russia as the puppeteer, acting through Iran. But, again, I go back to the claims of President Zelensky and the claims of Ukrainian military intelligence that Russia has been involved in the planning of this for over a year. We also have reports from Ukrainian military intelligence that the Hamas fighters were supplied with Western weapons, which of course would have been captured from Ukrainian soldiers because they have been given a huge amount of Western armory. And this, if you look on the deeper recesses of the internet, it's not hard to find lots and lots of, Russian disinformation or disinformation, which will seek to blame this on the West, which will seek to blame this on a failure of US international policy. So what I'm saying is absolutely, Russia's fingerprints are all over this. And Russia has form on this. Russia has form on this for the way they illegally annexed Crimea in 2014 with the so-called Little Green Men. They have form on this for the way they fomented what they said was a civil war in Donbass in the east of Ukraine in 2014 after the Maidan revolution, which brought about the downfall of a corrupt pro-Kremlin dictator in Ukraine that was Yanukovych. We have seen the way Russia has invaded parts of Georgia in 2008. We have seen how they have put down uprisings in Chechnya within the Russian Federation. So all of this is something that Russia has form on and clearly has experience in doing. And I come back to it's probably fair to say that much of the evidence at the moment for Russian involvement is circumstantial, but it is strongly circumstantial. And it's clear to me, and I cannot reveal sources, but it's clear to me from conversations I've had in the last 24 to 48 hours that our security services are becoming increasingly aware of the GRU fingerprints all over this. Certainly, President Zelensky in Ukraine has been more forthcoming on this than our Western leaders have at the moment. It's for you and I to really to speculate as to why more people are not talking about this.